We got the new E-Flite Thunderbirds 80mm F-16 from Horizon Hobby, and this bird is stunning in the sky. Let's see what it can do. What's going on YouTube? Horizon Hobby sent us this F-16 80mm Thunderbirds to review for the channel. Very awesome of them to do that. We've been wanting this jet for a bit. We love the original gray F-16 enough to have actually bought 2 of them already. And now we got this one, and it looks incredible. So before we even take it up, I'm going to mention that we did replace the stabilator servos with AGFRC B13 DLM units. You can find them in the description. You don't need them. The stock servos are more than enough for most flying that you're going to do, but because I want to take this thing to its absolute limit, throw it into cobra spins, cobra maneuvers, all sorts of other crazy stuff that I want to do, I wanted some stronger servos just in case. So in the meantime, pretty much everything else in this plane is stock. It does come with an 8-channel receiver, which is a first for Horizon. They don't normally send out 8 channels, so getting it set up the way I had the other F-16 set up took almost no time at all, which is awesome. And all the leads and everything were pre-done. We are flying this on an SMC 4400 pack, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Lithium high voltage. Currently flying into gusts of about 15 to 30 miles an hour. We're going to take it right up and see what it can do. So we did a full flight with the 4400 pack, and it just wasn't performing all that great in this wind. So we put a heavier 5300 SMC high voltage pack into it, and we're going to just show you that instead. So here we go. With the 5280 RC afterburner in the tail. Let's get her going. Yeah, handling the wind much better. This thing is very agile. If anybody tells you this jet is a pig, don't believe them. Fly a lighter battery, it'll fly fine. Unfortunately, we don't have any clouds today, so it's not the best backdrop. I'm gonna have to stand over here and try to keep the plane at the tree line as much as I can. Got this thing set up the exact same way that my other 80mm E-Flite F-16 is set up. Really appreciate Horizon for sending this to us. This thing is just so performant. Absolutely love it. The way it slides around. Not a problem in the world, even in this crazy wind that we're flying in. I'm gonna get it set up for a high alpha pass. You guys might have already seen high alpha passes on an F-16 before. It's more fun to do it with this jet because of how powerful it is and how wing loaded it is. It is a little bit more challenging to do. And you also have to go a little further out to get it to slow down enough. There we go, winds are picking up. There we go, look at her go. I want to do it right above that water there, but not feeling too confident that wind shear isn't going to catch us and mess things up real bad. I mean, this thing just sounds so good for an 80mm jet. A little wiggle waggly from this turbulence. Oh yeah, I love this jet. One of the best Horizon Hobby jets out there right now. Use that wind to our advantage. Back flipped right into a stall, which rolled the wing. Yeah, you can see it getting buffeted hardcore out here. Let's drop the flaps to get it to slow down a bit. There we go. That and the bank really helped out too. Keep that nose up for a high alpha pass. When the wind starts kicking up this way, the way it does, I just feel like it's in my best interest to climb a little bit. Just so we don't drop the plane into the ground. It is brand new. I've only flown it like 3 times so far. I don't want to break it. Quick tail slide with a roll. Somehow there was enough wind up there to push it around like that. It is crazy what we're getting here. Let's see how we can get it inverted. Maybe get a nice inverted pass. There we go. Loving this jet, guys. Again, anybody that says this jet flies like a pig, I really think they just are flying it on too heavy of a battery. 5300s are about the highest I'd recommend flying it on. Anything less than that, 3600 to 4400 is probably best. Let's put it into a quick cobra maneuver. 3, 2, 1. Perfect recovery from that, especially right before the wind kicked up. Let's do a couple of touch and goes. There we go. Kick that nose over, keep that throttle in. Probably should use the flaps, but we'll pull them up if it starts to get a little crazy. Keeping about quarter to half throttle to bring it in this wind. Yeah, guys, no joke. This wind is not fun. I want to get at least one touch and go in, but if we can't do that, that's okay. The objective here is to get the jet down safely, not to showboat too much. All right, throttle back. There we go. I think we can get a touch and go here. Not the prettiest thing in the world. All right, next one's gonna be a full stop landing. Running this battery down hard. Hit 20.8 volts under load, so definitely running it a bit hard. Okay. Dropping flaps, banking in to do the military overhead pattern approach, just to kind of lose some airspeed. There we go, looking good. That's about as good of a landing as you're going to get in this wind. The last minute I had some crazy turbulence that kind of made the wings rock real bad. I think it turned out pretty good.
We know a lot of pilots watch YouTube to see how a plane handles in the most critical phases of flight, takeoff and landing. This jet is just like any other Delta wing jet in that regard. You'll want to keep a nose-up attitude when landing to bleed off airspeed, even with flaperons. Setting up flaperons and using differential stabilators will allow the jet to land in different configurations with more control. The stabilators functioning as ailerons is a completely scale feature and is made easy to do with the 8360T receiver that comes stock in this jet. Check our setup guide linked in the card in the top right if you'd like help with it. We're hoping that this video helps dispel the persistent myth that this jet flies like a pig. It's very agile if you put a correctly sized battery into it. An SMC 5300 pack is about as heavy as we'd go with it. Anything heavier will fly nose heavy and will require a lot of up trim, which will function as a constant air brake in the sky. Running the heaviest battery you can find doesn't always lead to better flight times or performance. Often it reduces both. Back to landings. On blustery days like this, we highly recommend running a nose heavier setup and using a lot of throttle when landing for stability's sake. We didn't use enough throttle here and wind shear caused a strong sink rate. This is definitely a tough jet, so it can take harder impacts, but it's best to always touch down lightly on the mains if possible. High alpha is definitely a maneuver that this jet specializes in. If you experiment with the center of gravity, and we recommend 120mm to 130mm, and play with throttle and elevator, you'll find that the jet stabilizes around 30 degrees nose up and can be easily steered around with rudder. Just not in this kind of wind that we're flying in. One thing that we don't do on this channel is hide our mistakes. Sometimes wind shear catches you off guard, and the mistake really isn't being caught by shear, it's being too low in the first place during shear conditions. There's no reason to be this low on a turbulent day, but we wanted to push the limits to see if we could produce the best possible content given the conditions that we had to fly in. Our verdict on this jet? It's a solid 9 out of 10. Why isn't it a 10 out of 10? Well, it's heavy. All of the beautiful scale details, including the landing gear being the finest example of model F-16 gear at this scale, do come at a weight price. You can offset this by running lighter packs. Just don't fly too light in wind, because this jet is not exactly forgiving in shear conditions. It does come with a thrust reversing avian ESC. That's another big point in its favor. So back to the point where I mentioned that we don't hide our mistakes. Well, we pushed the limits, and the limits pushed back.
Alright, so I goofed, alright? It happens, sometimes we all make mistakes. Flying in these heavy winds is one of those mistakes, and trying to do that high alpha pass. While it looked really cool, the problem with it was that I was doing it way too slow in that wind. I should have had more throttle. Wouldn't have looked as cool, but the good news is that barely any damage to this jet. Once I clean it off, get a couple of new vertical stabilizers, maybe fix that little missile rail that was a clean break, which is a super easy fix, we're going to have no problems with it at all, and I think we'll have an easy repair and get it back up in the sky really soon in short order. Really appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you again next time.